you're not the problem. I'm gonna offer you psychological tips. The goal is communication. Funny, silly you. That's not what people were saying in America. What? Which is slang for condom. Piece of knowledge that I have is valuable. Let's go. Hello everybody, my name is Lola and welcome to Lola Speak channel. I'm a co-founder of Lola Speak app, an English practice app, and on this channel we're discussing the journey of learning English and I'm sharing tips and tricks how you can make your life easier. In this video, I'm gonna offer you psychological tips. Like I'm gonna coach you. I'm gonna help you to expand your mental capacity on overcoming the language barrier. Simply speaking, I'll give you an advice on how to think about the language barrier and what to think in order to overcome it and become a confident speaker. So this video will help you to rewire your brain. I will offer you some psychological concepts that will help you to look at the whole problem from a different angle and hopefully resolve it. Let's go. Number 1, the goal of language, speaking English language, is not the language itself. You're not speaking for the sake of speaking. The goal is communication. Right now, if I ask Dmitry to give me a pen, my goal, can you give me a pen, please? Thank you. My goal is to get a pen, not to say words about getting a pen. And you should remember that because when you're trying to communicate with someone in English, you're not doing that for the sake of speaking English. You're doing that for the sake of getting some information or maybe connecting with a person, introducing yourself, or just like whatever goal you might have in your life. English is not the goal. English is a tool. It's you are the master. You're using this tool. And it's up to you how you want to use this tool. You can use it with mistakes. It's okay. The whole idea is to get what you want. And the person who you're talking to is on your team. Think about that. We all have been in the situation when in our native country, somebody tried to speak to us in our native language, but this language was not native for the person. For example, I'm Russian and I'm in Moscow, and here's an American person trying to speak to me in Russian with heavy American accent or so. Let's think about what you feel. When you're in the position of a native speaker, what you feel? You want to help that person. You are on the team of that person. You're trying to understand his or her speech. You're trying to help. You're together trying to figure out what that person wants. You're not thinking about what kind of grammar tense this person uses. You're not judging his or her pronunciation. All you're trying to do is to get him or her to the goal, right? Because he will have a purpose. Excuse me, where is the closest pharmacy? Right? You're not thinking about what a heavy accent. You're thinking about, where's the pharmacy? So remember that. They're on your team, whoever you're talking to. The concept number 2, nobody knows it all. Oh my God, it's such an illusion that somebody knows English and somebody does not. I know we always operate with this definition, but it does a disservice to us because some person could know a lot, let's say a lot technological slang. Maybe he or she is IT developer. So her vocabulary on this topic is wide. Let's use he knows a lot of words. And you could be a confident English speaker, but you won't understand this guy because IT is not an area of your interest. So it's natural that he will use some vocabulary that you don't know and you don't use. You may be a confident English speaker and still suck in some situation. That's okay. It's It's life. It's like talking to if I'll be talking to a Nobel Prize winner on the subject of chemistry, I will feel like an idiot. I will have nothing to add to this conversation. Or actually, maybe not. And sometimes people who are learning English, they use some words that actually native speakers don't know because they don't use it. But it doesn't mean that you're stupid or you're doing something wrong. You're just using the word that's not regularly used. And actually, by using it, you get to know, how relevant your information is. You're like, oh, you actually don't use it. For example, coming to America, when somebody would say, thank you, I would answer, not at all, the British version. And people would look at me and I'm like, oh, so that's not what you guys say? That's not what people are saying in America are saying. In America, they would say, you're welcome. And I've learned that by using the wrong version, and that's okay. So nobody knows it all. So don't get into the trap of thinking that you're smaller and you're like, I don't know. Be confident in your knowledge. You formed the sentence in your head. Go for it. Use it. And get a result. Concept number 3. Sometimes you're not the problem. Once again, all people are selfish. Let's admit that on biological level. I've talked about that. I believe, did we talk about that? I probably didn't on this channel. Anyways, there's a book by Richard Dawkins, Selfish Gene, where it is all explained. From the biological standpoint, we're the survival machines, we're selfish. We're thinking about ourselves. So once again, when you're talking to somebody, most likely this person will be thinking about him or herself. Not always. I'm not generalizing. Of course, it's not like we still have a chance of clear human communication, genuine. But overall, they're not really thinking about your mistakes. So if you shift this perspective that right now, yes, I'm trying to speak English. It's not my native language. I don't know much, maybe. I'm still learning. But they're not thinking about me right now. Anyhow, we tend to think about ourselves and we tend to take the blame if the conversation is not working out. We're thinking, oh, it's because my English is not good enough. But the reality, oh my God, there's so many reasons why the conversation is not working. A person may have problems with ears, and it happened to me. I've realized the guy who was working at the grocery store, he actually had problems with ears, and I was thinking that I was using the wrong sentences, but he was just a little bit deaf, a little bit. So I had to speak louder. Or sometimes when you're talking to somebody and you can't understand that person's speech, sometimes it's because the person is not speaking clear enough. Yes, we need to be able to understand the accents. That's why we practice pronunciation. That's why we practice in Lola Speak to understand the native speakers. But in reality, a lot of people could mumble, could swallow the endings of the words, or, some people, they just don't open their mouth when they talk. I open my mouth a lot. I'm accentuating the words on purpose. But some people just talk like that and it's just nah, it's just too much for a sec. Quiet, blah, blah, blah. What? They're quiet, they're mumbling, they're not acknowledging the fact that you're not a native speaker, so that they need to be a little bit more clear. So it's not up to you that the conversation is not working. It's not always up to you, let me put it this way. So sometimes you're not the problem. And since you're not always the problem, I want you to own your English, to own your knowledge. And by saying to own it, I mean to be confident in it. Even in the least bit of knowledge that you have. Maybe you're just starting. Probably you won't be watching this video if you're just starting. But anyways, maybe you've had some practice and then you've stopped, and whatever it is, own it. Say it to yourself, I know enough. I know enough to communicate. I know how to ask, where is the restroom? Like, anyone can learn a sentence and request a communication by pronouncing a sentence. I'm sure you've done it in other languages. They're not your native languages. So be confident in it. Confidence came later to me in life. Now I feel like I'm so confident that it's hilarious to watch how I try to speak Greek. I just like throw all the words I know at the person, like pamenele. Like, it's funny because sometimes it even looks ridiculous, but I know by doing that, I'm reclaiming my confidence that even that little piece of knowledge that I have is valuable. I could speak Greek and you can speak English. Own it. There is a saying in English, fake it till you make it. And I had a girl on my courses who started learning English recently, but she was smart enough to dive into accent and pronunciation, into speaking. Oh my God, such a smart girl. And that's why her speech was so clear, but she didn't have enough knowledge. So didn't have much sentences in her head. She didn't have a bit vocabulary. She didn't know much grammar, but she spoke with such confidence with that little bit of knowledge that she had. It was amazing. It was so beautiful to watch. And I thought to myself, I'm like, that's what you should do. Even if you're going to Japan, you've learned 3 phrases, like own them. Like, I know how to say watashi wa gakusei desu, whatever it is. And that brings me to another point. Oh, I keep repeating myself, and I will until everybody on this planet will make their mistakes and love them. Love them, love them, love them. Example with Greek. In Greek, when somebody meets you, a person says parakalo, which means like, please, how can I help you? So not knowing what would be the right answer, I would usually answer just parakalo and then just jump right into my request. Recently, I've learned that that's not how you communicate in Greek. You're not supposed to repeat parakalo. It's not like hello, hello. It's just like, speak please, like, and then you should say, hey, like, where is the bread? Wherever it is. But like, I needed this, you know, like I needed to jump on this communication. Like, I would repeat what I hear. And it was funny because it would grab a person's attention because, you know, oh, she tries to speak Greek. And then I'm like, yes, yes, well, so that's the point. And I know not everybody possesses a personality of an extrovert, and that's all right. But the point that you can learn and that you can embrace is the mistakes are your helpers. You learn from your mistakes. By saying the wrong form of the word, of the sentence, using the wrong idiom, you actually get a feedback. Did you know that Amazon, surprise, surprise, I don't know where this knowledge came from, but Amazon is one of the fast-making companies. They make decisions fast, and their concept is we want to understand whether we're right or wrong fast. And if we're wrong, we pivot, tweak, change the strategy or whatever, change the decision, and we get on the right track faster. Same concept. You better use the wrong word, the wrong phrase, but you use it. You've tried to apply it. You've tried to make it your tool of communication. And you get a feedback. And probably you made a mistake. And most likely you'll get a lot of funny stories that you will tell your friends. And everybody knows my story about me using rubber instead of elastic. When you write something with pencil, I wanted elastic, but I asked for a rubber, which is slang for condom. And it was in my workspace. Like, anybody have a rubber? Like, in the middle of the day. And everybody's like, ah! People just was dying. People were dying of laughter. It was hilarious. But that's how I learned. And that's all right. And now I have a funny story to tell you. The last but not the least, you have to create your new personality. English-speaking version of you. Me, in Russian, Oля, who speaks with a Russian type of speaking, is different from Lola, who speaks American English. And actually, their sense of humor is different. I talk more about that on my page, in our app. I think it's such an important psychological point. You gotta detach yourself from you, who's speaking your native language, whatever it is, and the English-speaking version of you, because you will have different patterns of communication. You know, like every culture has its own nuances. Like in some cultures, you behave more openly. I speak louder. I'm more, I'm enunciating words more. I'm laughing at the higher pitch. Hi, how are you? In American English. Where in Russian, for example, Russian mentality is more content, more serious. The way I would communicate will be different. And the biggest problem happens when you're trying to fit your personality of your native language into English. You have to create a new one. So whatever it is, and once again, a lot of people, they pick up a name that adjusted to English-speaking countries, if you're living in the English-speaking country, or if you're traveling. Sometimes you're adjusting the name to make it easier for people to understand and to pronounce. So I want you to think about what's your English version of yourself. What's the name? How will you introduce yourself? And it's not necessarily have to be a different name, but let's say your name is like Archibaldius. You can say Archie, the short version, or Anastasia. Some Anastasias, they stay Anastasias. Some say I'm Anna, or something like that. Short, simplified, easier to understand, easier to grab, to remember, easier to communicate. And when you have this another version of you, you won't be afraid to fall flat on your face, to ask for a rubber, because it's like, it's you who's learning to speak English. It's like funny, silly you, and it's okay. And if you're interested on this subject, I really recommend going into the watch section in our app and going through Unlock Your English series, where I offer more psychological tips and tricks on overcoming the language barrier. If you like this video, please press like, press subscribe, leave a comment below, say hi, give us ideas for another topics to discuss, and practice English with Lola Speak app. The trial is free. Download it now. Try. See if that's something that can help you, and I'm sure it will. Thank you for staying till the end. I'm so happy to have you on our channel, and good luck on your English learning journey. See you.